Within the walls of a machine shop, honesty seems to have become an option rather than a rule. What happens when greed overcomes integrity? Let's find out together in this emotional story. Take advantage now to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our impactful stories. In a quiet industrial suburb, Elonio's workshop stood out among the warehouses like a monolith of frenetic activity. Inside, the air was thick with the smells of burning rubber and metal, a pungent mixture that stuck to the lungs of anyone who entered. Flickering neon lights reflected off oil-stained floors, illuminating Elonio's intent face as he inspected a freshly assembled engine. It was a cold November morning, and Talia, the customer who was about to become the involuntary protagonist of a deception, parked her car in front of the entrance to the garage. He had chosen that place based on reviews and the respectable past of Elonio's father, a man known for his integrity and competence. Unfortunately, he was unaware that since his son had taken over, the business ethics of the workshop had taken a turn for the worse. "Yes, the car is ready," Elonio said, with a smile that did not touch his eyes, a mask of professional courtesy. "But we were in really bad shape," he continued, opening the hood to show her the work done. Talia, curious and a little suspicious, moved closer to get a better look. "What do you mean, bad?" she asked. The mechanic glanced at his assistant Galen, who had just joined them, bringing with him tools and an air of concern. "The problem wasn't just where we thought it was. We did a more thorough check of the vehicle and found several additional components that needed replacing," Elonio explained, pointing to parts that were glowing unusually in the artificial light. Talia crossed her arms, feeling increasingly uncomfortable. "Look, I'm sorry, but you should have warned me before you did the job. It's not done that way." The air filled with tension, and the two men exchanged a look that did not go unnoticed by Talia. After paying, with a promise never to return, he walked away, leaving a heavy silence behind him. Once alone in the car, Talia reflected on the strange interaction. Something didn't add up. It wasn't just the exorbitant cost of the repair, but the way Elonio and Galen had behaved. It was as if they were hiding something. And now, dear viewer, what do you think Talia should have done in this situation? Have you ever had similar experiences? How would you have behaved? If the story piques your interest, leave your like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Meanwhile, inside the garage, Galen confronted Elonio. "What are you doing? This is her first time here and you think I don't understand cars? That'll make them all go away." Elonio, irritated by the intrusion, replied brusquely. "What are you talking about? She didn't even notice anything. What are you worrying about? And don't get involved in these things." It was clear that his only interest was profit, to the detriment of the honesty and trust his father had taught him. The argument between the two men intensified. Galen, who had grown up in the shadow of Elonio's father, an honorable man, could not tolerate the direction the workshop was taking. "Listen, you're really wrong. I'm going back to work, go." "Here, if it weren't for me," Elonio said. "If it weren't for you," Galen interrupted. "If you haven't noticed, you're the one who lost us another customer." Elonio shook his head, refusing to accept the truth of Galen's words. "Come on, I didn't ask her for millions of euros, did I? I was just trying to exploit the only way I had to get the most out of her." Galen, disgusted, replied firmly, "What are you talking about? Don't you remember what your father always said? Honesty always pays off." Elonio turned to him, his eyes sparkling with ambition. "You don't understand anything. I don't want to remain a small fish like my father. I will build an empire in a short time. That's how you make real money." As time passed, Elonio's greed continued to push customers and old friends out the door. Galen eventually left, followed by longtime customers who realized they had been scammed. When expenses exceeded income, Elonio was forced to close and look for a fresh start. His attempt to find work led him to an interview with a potential employer who was familiar with his father's reputation. Elonio, hopeful, attempted to sell his techniques to increase turnover, but was interrupted by the unexpected appearance of Talia. Firmly, she revealed her experiences, contradicting Elonio and showing the truth of his past actions, and kicked him out of office by refusing his job request. Honesty is not just the best policy, it is the only way to build a sustainable and respectful future, both in your personal and professional life. Elonio, left alone with his failures, reflected bitterly on his father's ever-wise words, finally understanding the true cost of his greed. As the dust settles on the now-dead sign of Elonio's workshop, the story of his rise and fall leaves us with profound reflection. Elonio's attempt to build an empire on dishonesty and deception has led him not only to lose the affection and respect of his clients, but also to compromise the legacy of integrity left to him by his father. This story poses a fundamental question. Is it worth sacrificing one's principles for immediate gain? And more importantly, is it possible to redeem ourselves and rebuild on stronger foundations after having lost the trust of those around us? Elonio's story is a reminder of the priceless value of honesty and the lasting rewards it can bring. What do you think? Have you ever found yourself at a similar crossroads, having to choose between easy profit and the path of integrity? Or have you yourself been a victim of this evil game of greed? We look forward to reading your thoughts.